I got this Sega CD at a swap meet nearby. I brought it home and plugged it in with my Genesis, and the first thing I noticed was the no disc error, even though it did have a disc in it. At first I thought the spindle was missing. That's this little piece right here that spins. I thought it was missing, but actually it had just gotten pushed down to where it was no longer high enough for the CD to rest on properly. Now when this gets pushed down, it actually ends up rubbing up against a portion of the lens here. So this lens is actually preventing it from spinning properly. So what we have to do is we have to raise the spindle higher so that it's not rubbing against the plastic portion of the lens. And I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. Pretty much all you're going to need for this is just a screwdriver to open up the system. And on the bottom of this, not all of the holes have screws in them. So you just want to make sure, I think it's mostly just the ones on the side here, and I think maybe in the corner that you need to unscrew. So I'll go and do that real quick. Okay, so now we have all the screws out, and the top of this unit should just come right off. We'll set that to the side, and this is the part that we're mainly concerned with right here. So here's the lens and here's the spindle. I've already adjusted mine, but I first noticed when I got this that when the lens was moved all the way to this position, it took a lot of effort to spin this. So I had to actually adjust the lens back a little bit in order for it to be able to spin freely. But you might want to just go ahead and move that lens back anyways, just so it's out of the way and you don't damage it at all. And then this black section just comes right off. You might need to push in the ends here. And you need to be careful too, because this is just barely resting on here, so it can come off easily. But if it does, it's no big deal. Next up is the spindle itself. You're going to have to just grab hold of it and pull it up. You might want to push down on the metal case at the same time as you pull up. Now the way you can see if it's adjusted properly, sometimes you might pull it off. If that's the case, just put it back on there and wedge it down to where it needs to go. And then move that lens back, and there should be about like a 2 millimeter gap between the lens and the spindle. So the lens should be right there, and the spindle should still be able to spin freely. And once you've confirmed that, you can go ahead and put everything back together. Alright, so everything's back together now. I'm just going to take a disc and put it in there to see if it fits okay. Alright, so it should be able to spin easily without scraping on anything. So it looks like we're good to go here. Okay, so now we have the system attached to the Sega Genesis. Go ahead and power it on. And you just want to be listening for any scraping noises while it's checking the disc. If you do hear any scraping noises, one thing you can do is add maybe some washers to that little stand that holds the motor. But yeah, it looks like we're looking pretty good here. Game loaded up pretty quickly. And we're good to go.